and yet you immediately hired a private investigator, filed for divorce, froze his assets. That doesn't sound like someone who wanted to save their marriage. Because there was nothing left to save. He'd already destroyed it. We find in favor of the petitioner on all counts. 75% to me, 25% to him. Reason: adultery and dissipation of marital assets. He would also pay my legal fees, all of them. My husband was waiting alone. His lawyer had already left. I walked past him. Sarah, I stopped, turned, double quotes. What? He looked broken. I studied his face. Searched for the man I'd married. Couldn't find him. No, I said softly. You loved the idea of me. The woman who stayed home. Who didn't ask questions. My voice was calm. But you were wrong about all of it. He was crying now. I wasn't. She showed me more respect in one letter than you did in 12 years. Please, I don't hate you, I continued. But here's what I want you to understand. Your reputation. Everyone at your company knows. You destroyed me. No. I shook my head. I just stopped protecting you from yourself. I'm sorry. I didn't turn around. Just got in, started the engine, and drove away. That night, I went back to the house, our house, my house now, walked through every room, the kitchen where I'd made him breakfast every morning. TV in silence. The bedroom where he'd lied to me in the dark. I should have felt something. Sadness, anger, loss. But I just felt light-free. I sold the house 3 months later, took the money and bought a small condo downtown. New neighborhood. New start, no memories. Margaret called to tell me the final paperwork had been filed. It's done. You're officially divorced. Thank you. What will you do now? I looked out the window of my new place. City lights. Possibility. Live. Just Sarah now. She nodded slowly. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were, it's fine. We stood there awkwardly. Then she spoke quietly. I really am sorry. For everything. I looked at her. This young woman who'd been used the same way I had. I know. Are you okay? I am. And I meant it. Changed jobs. Started therapy. Good. She hesitated. He tried to contact me. After the divorce? I know. He tried to contact me too. Did you respond? No. Me neither. We stood there a moment longer. Then she said something unexpected. Thank you. I frowned. For what? For being stronger than I was. For showing me what it looks like to fight back. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded. Take care, Vanessa. You too, Sarah. She walked away. Experienced, ignored. We were both victims of the same man. The difference was, I'd refused to stay one. A year later, I saw my ex-husband one last time. New, younger. Pretty, polished. She was laughing at something he said. He looked happy, and I felt nothing. No anger. No jealousy. No pain, just indifference. He'd moved on. So had I. But I'd moved on with the truth. And he was still living the same lie, just with a different woman. I turned and walked away. Didn't look back because that part of my life was over. And I was done looking backward. Some people say I was too harsh. That I should have forgiven him. Given him a second chance. But those people don't understand. Forgiveness is for people who deserve it. And he never did. 2 years have passed since the divorce. I don't think about him. Anymore, not really. Sometimes a memory surfaces, unbidden, unwanted. A flash of his face across the dinner table. The sound of his keys in the door. The weight of his arm around me in sleep. but they're not painful. They're ghosts of a life I no longer recognize. I changed after the divorce. Not dramatically, not obviously, but fundamentally. I went back to school, finished the degree I'd abandoned when we got married, got a job, a real one, with a salary and benefits and colleagues who respect me. I stopped apologizing for taking up space, stopped making myself smaller to make other people comfortable, stopped believing that loyalty meant silence. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. The divorce, the fight, the scorched earth. You could have just left quietly, they say, taken your half and moved on. But that's not what I wanted. I didn't want half. I wanted acknowledgement. I wanted everyone to know that he was the one who destroyed us, not me. I wanted it on the record, in black and white, legal, binding, permanent, and I got it. I've dated since then. Nothing serious. I'm not ready for serious. Maybe I never will be. But I've learned something important. I don't need someone to complete me. I was never incomplete. I was just convinced. I was by a man who needed me small so he could feel big. Last week, I received a message from him after 2 years of silence. It was brief. I hope you're well. I think about you sometimes. About us. About what we could have been. I'm sorry for everything. I hope someday you can forgive me. I read it once, then deleted it, blocked the number. Because I realized something. He doesn't want my forgiveness. He wants my absolution. He wants me to tell him he's not a bad person, that what he did was understandable, that I've moved on and everything's fine. And he doesn't have to carry the weight of his choices anymore. But I won't give him that, because he is responsible, and he should carry it, not to punish him, but because consequences are how we learn, and maybe someday, he'll actually understand what he destroyed, though I doubt it. Asterisk, I don't hate him. I meant that when I said it outside the courthouse. Hate requires energy, emotion, investment, and I have none of those left for him. He's just a chapter in my life. A long, painful chapter, but a closed one. Sometimes I think about Vanessa's letter. The way it changed everything. If she hadn't given it to me, would I still be there? Still playing the role of the devoted wife? Still pretending not to notice the late nights and the unexplained expanses and the distance? Probably, because I'd convinced myself that loyalty was staying, that love was endurance, that a good wife doesn't question, doesn't demand, doesn't leave. But Vanessa taught me something. Sometimes the kindest thing a stranger can do is tell you the truth, even when it destroys everything you thought you knew. I went back to that park bench recently, the one where I sat the night he told me I didn't belong. The night Vanessa found me. It looks the same. Same bench, same trees, same street light. But I'm different. I'm not the woman who sat there crying. I'm not the woman who believed she wasn't enough. I'm not the woman who thought being discarded was her fault. I'm someone new, someone harder, sharper, clearer, someone who knows her worth and refuses to negotiate it. People talk about closure like it's a single moment. A conversation, an apology, a final goodbye. But it's not. It's a process. 1,000 tiny moments of choosing yourself. Choosing to stop waiting for him to realize what he lost. Choosing to stop wondering if you could have done something differently. Choosing to stop carrying the weight of his choices. Choosing to walk away again and again and again, until one day you realize you haven't thought about him in weeks, and then months, and then you stop counting. I don't know what happened to him. Don't know if he married the new woman. Don't know if he's happy. Don't know if he thinks about me. Don't care. Because my life isn't defined by his anymore. It's mine. Fully, completely, finally. I kept the letter, Vanessa's letter, not because I need it, but because it reminds me that sometimes the truth comes from the most unexpected places, that kindness can look like cruelty, that destruction can be salvation, and that the hardest thing you ever do might also be the thing that sets you free. I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. I'm not waiting. I'm just done. Done performing. Done pretending. Done shrinking. Done being the woman he wanted me to be. I'm finally being the woman I am. And she's enough. She always was. The other night, I dreamed about the bench. About Vanessa handing me that envelope, about opening it and feeling my world collapse. But this time, when I woke up, I wasn't afraid. I was grateful. Because that letter didn't destroy my life. It saved it, asterisk. And I've never looked back since. Thought I was forgiving him? He didn't realize I was saying goodbye? Sunday night? I couldn't sleep. Tomorrow, everything would change. I got up, went downstairs, sat in the dark living room. This house, our house. 12 years of memories. 12 years of building a life together, and he'd burned it all down for a 26-year-old analyst who tried to walk away. I thought about Vanessa's letter, the way she'd apologized, the way she'd given me the truth. She didn't owe me that, but she did it anyway, because she'd been lied to too. We both had by the same man, the man sleeping upstairs, peaceful, unaware. Tomorrow, that peace would end. I made coffee at 5 o'clock a.m. Watched the sunrise through the kitchen window. My husband came down at 6:30, showered, dressed, ready for another day. You're up early, he said, kissing my cheek. Couldn't sleep? Everything okay? Perfect. He smiled, grabbed his briefcase. Love you. You too. He walked out the door, got in his car, drove away, and I stood at the window, watching, waiting, knowing that in exactly 2.5 hours, a process server would walk into his office, hand him an envelope, and destroy everything he thought he had. I poured myself another cup of coffee, sat down at the kitchen table, asterisk, and waited for the call. Asterisk 6, Part 4. Major reveal the truth. The call came at 9:47 a.m. Unknown number. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Hello, Sarah. His voice was shaking. What the fuck did you do? I took a sip of coffee. I filed for divorce. You, what? Why? We just had dinner. Everything was fine. Everything was fine for you, I said calmly. Not for me. This is insane. You can't just, we need to talk about this. We're talking now. No. In person. I'm coming home. Don't. Sarah, I have a restraining order pending. If you come here, I'll call the police. Silence. I could hear his breathing. Fast. Panicked. A restraining order? For what? I haven't done anything. You've done plenty. What are you talking about? I set down my coffee. Vanessa Hartley. The silence that followed was absolute. I don't lie. My voice was ice. Not anymore. Sarah, listen, I have photos, text messages, credit card statements, hotel receipts, 8 months of evidence. Your lawyer will receive copies this afternoon. You, you've been spying on me? I've been protecting myself. This is crazy. You can't, I already did. He made a sound. Something between a laugh and a sob. Who told you? Was it her? Did she does? It matter? Yes. Because whatever she said, she's lying. She gave me proof. And then I found more. You weren't careful. You were arrogant. Another pause. Then his voice changed. Harder, colder. You're making a mistake. No. I made a mistake 12 years ago. I'm correcting it now. You'll regret this. I already regret staying as long as I did. Sarah, I hung up. My hands were steady. My heart was calm. I'd waited 3 weeks for that conversation, and it was exactly as satisfying as I'd imagined. He called back 17 times. I didn't answer. Then the texts started. We can fix this. Please. Just talk to me. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Don't throw away 12 years. You're being manipulated. She's lying. I love you. Please. I read them all, deleted nothing. Evidence, every desperate message, was another nail in his coffin. Margaret called at noon. He's been served. How are you doing? Fine. He's going to fight this. His lawyer already called. They want mediation. No. You're... Sure. Completely. Good. Because we don't need it. The evidence is overwhelming. Adultery. Dissipation of marital assets. We're going for everything. What's the timeline? If he doesn't contest, 60 days. If he fights, could be 6 months. He'll fight. Then we'll bury him. I smiled. Thank you. That evening, I heard a car in the driveway. My husband, he'd come anyway. I watched from the upstairs window as he got out, walked to the front door, tried his key. I'd changed the locks that morning. He knocked. Sarah? Open the door? I didn't move. Sarah, please. We need to talk. I called 911. There's someone at my house refusing to leave. I have a restraining order pending. The operator asked for details. I gave them calmly, address, description, license plate. Officers are on their way. Thank you. I hung up, went back to the window. My husband was still at the door, pounding now. Sarah, don't do this. Please. I watched him. This man I'd loved, this stranger I'd married, and felt absolutely nothing. The police arrived 8 minutes later. 2 officers. They spoke to him on the front lawn. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I saw his body language, the gestures. The pleading. One officer looked up at the house. I stepped back from the window. A minute later, my phone rang. One of the officers does. Ma'am, your husband would like to speak with you. Are you willing? No. Understood. We're asking him to leave now. Thank you. I watched from the window as they escorted him back to his car. He looked up at the house. One more time. I didn't hide. Let him see me. Let him see the woman he'd underestimated. The woman he thought would never fight back. Then I closed the curtain, and he drove away. I slept well that night. For the first time in 3 weeks. No pretending. No performing. Just silence and clarity. The next morning, I received an email from Vanessa. Subject line, I'm sorry. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Mrs. Chun, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you'll want to. But I needed to say something. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know I hurt you. I know I was complicit in something terrible. When I found out he was married, I tried to leave. But he wouldn't let me. He kept showing up, kept calling, kept promising he'd end things with you, that he just needed time. I believed him. I was stupid. And then I saw that photo on his desk. And I realized he was never going to leave you. He was just going to keep lying to both of us. So, I wrote you that letter, and I quit. But he didn't stop. He kept coming, kept texting, kept telling me you were trying to ruin his life, that you were crazy, that you'd invented the whole thing. I almost believed him. But then I saw the news, the divorce filing, and I knew you weren't crazy. He was. I'm leaving the city, starting over somewhere new. Away from him, away from all of this. I wanted you to know that I'm grateful for what you did, for stopping him. He told me you didn't belong in his world. But the truth is, he didn't belong in yours. I hope you find peace, Vanessa. I read it twice. Then I closed the email, deleted it. I didn't need her apology, didn't need her gratitude. I just needed her gone, and now she was. 2 days later, Margaret called again. He's contesting. His lawyer filed a response. They're claiming the marriage was already broken, that you were emotionally distant, that the affair was a symptom, not the cause. I laughed, actually laughed. Let him claim whatever he wants. His lawyer also wants to negotiate the assets. He's willing to give you 60% if you drop the adultery claim. No, Sarah, I don't want 60%. I want everything. And I want it on record that he destroyed this marriage, not me. Margaret paused. Then, okay, we go to trial. Good. 3 weeks later, we were in court. Preliminary hearing. Just the lawyers and the judge. I sat behind Margaret Capose. Composed, my husband sat across the aisle with his lawyer. He looked terrible. Thinner, pale, dark, circles under his eyes. Good. The judge reviewed the evidence. Photos, messages, financial records. My husband's lawyer tried to argue. Your Honor, my client admits to poor judgment. But this was a brief lapse during a difficult period in the marriage. 8 months is not brief, Margaret interrupted. And the financial records show systematic deception. He spent over $40,000 of marital assets on his mistress. The judge looked at my husband. Is that accurate? My husband's lawyer started to answer. The judge cut him off. I'm asking your client. My husband stood slowly. Yes, Your Honor. The judge nodded, made a note. I'm granting the petitioner's motion to freeze all marital assets pending trial, and I'm awarding temporary exclusive use of the marital home to Mrs. Chun. My husband's face went white. Your Honor, that's my ruling. Trial date is set for 60 days from today. We're adjourned. The gavel fell. It was over. We walked out of the courthouse. My husband tried to approach me in the hallway. Margaret stepped between us. Don't. He looked at me over her shoulder. Sarah, please, can we just know? I'm sorry. I know I hurt you. But we can. There is no we anymore. His eyes were wet. I love you. I stared at him. This man who'd lied to me for 8 months, who'd spent our money on another woman, who'd told me I didn't belong in his world, who'd tried to make me believe I was the problem. No, I said quietly, you don't. And I walked away. He called my name. I didn't turn around. I just kept walking. Into the sunlight. Into my new life. Away from him forever. End of part 4. Part 5. Cold confrontation, revenge demo man to the trial lasted 3 days. I sat through every minute, watched as Margaret methodically dismantled his defense, photo after photo, message after message, receipt after receipt. His lawyer tried to paint me as cold, distant, neglectful, called me to the stand. Mrs. Chun, would you say you were emotionally available to your husband during your marriage? I looked at the jury. I was faithful, present, supportive. For 12 years, I built a home. I managed our lives. I sacrificed my career so he could build his. I did everything a partner should do. But were you emotionally available? I was never given the chance to be unavailable. He never asked. He just left. The lawyer shifted tactics. Did you ever suspect the affair before you received that letter? No. Why not? Because I trusted him. Another showed them leaving separately. An hour apart. Standard affair protocol. There were also printed screenshots, text messages. Can't wait to see you tonight. She suspects nothing. You're worth the risk. My hands didn't shake this time. I just stared at the evidence. Black and white proof of 8 months of lies. How did you get the messages? I asked. He uses his work phone for personal texts. Not smart. I have a contact who works in corporate IT. Let's just say your husband's cloud backup isn't as secure as he thinks. I looked up. Is this legal? David leaned back. It's admissible. That's what matters. I closed the folder. What else? He pulled out a second stack of papers. Credit card statements, hotels, restaurants, jewelry purchases, all on your joint account. He wasn't even trying to hide it. Because he didn't think I'd look. He thought I was too simple, too trusting, too unpolished to see what was right in front of me. There's one more thing, David said quietly. He handed me a final photo. It showed my husband, outside Vanessa's apartment building. But this photo was recent. Timestamped 2 days ago, after she'd quit, after she'd supposedly left him. He was still seeing her. Even now, even after she'd tried to do the right thing. She wrote me that letter, I said slowly. She said she was leaving him. David nodded. Maybe. She tried, but he didn't let her go. I studied the photo on my husband's face. The way he stood, confident, in control. He thought he could have both, the wife at home, the mistress in the city, the perfect double life. And for 8 months, he did. But not anymore. I paid David his fee, took the folder, went home. My husband was in the living room, watching TV. Hey babe, he said without looking up. Good day. Great day, I replied. I went upstairs, locked myself in the bathroom, and read through every single piece of evidence. Again, each text message, each photo, each receipt, I memorized the dates, the details, the patterns. Then I put everything in a safe place, not in the house, in a safety deposit box at the bank. Margaret had been right. Once he knew, I knew. He'd try to destroy the evidence, but he'd never get the chance, because I wasn't going to tell him not yet. That night, he reached for me in bed, his hand on my waist, his breath on my neck. I love you, he whispered. I lay still. Didn't pull away, didn't respond, just stared at the ceiling in the dark, and let him believe I still loved him back. The next morning, I made him breakfast again, kissed him goodbye at the door, smiled, played my role, the devoted wife, the woman who didn't belong in his world, the woman he'd underestimated, and while he went to work, probably to see Vanessa, probably to tell her more lies about I went back to Margaret's office, and we began building the case. Quietly, methodically, piece by piece. He thought I was home cleaning, making dinner, waiting for him, but I was dismantling his life with the same precision he'd used to destroy mine. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused, and that made me dangerous. End of Part 2, Part 3. Rising SUSPN, SU3. Weeks passed. I became a ghost in my own life, present but absent. Smiling but hollow. Every morning, I made him breakfast. Every night, I asked about his day. Every moment in between, I gathered evidence. He never noticed. Why would he? I'd been invisible for years. Margaret filed the initial paperwork quietly. No confrontation. No dramatics. Just legal machinery moving in the background, slow and inevitable. "We're not serving him yet," she explained during one of our meetings. "First, we secure the assets. I've already filed a motion to freeze your joint accounts. Once that's approved, he won't be able to move money without court approval. When? 2 weeks? Maybe less? And then we serve him. At his office. In front of his colleagues. Maximum impact." I liked the sound of that, maximum impact. He'd humiliated me privately for months. It was only fair. I returned the favor publicly. David continued his surveillance. Every few days, he'd send me updates, more photos, more evidence. My husband was still seeing Vanessa, but something had changed. The photos from the last week showed tension. One image caught them outside a restaurant. She was crying. He was walking away. Another showed him at her apartment door. She wasn't letting him in. Vanessa was trying to end it. He wasn't letting her. "She's pulling away," David said when I asked about it. "But he's persistent." Classic pattern. "He's probably telling her he'll leave you. That he just needs time." "Will he?" David looked at me. "Leave you?" "Yes." "No." His voice was certain. "Guys like him never leave. They want the stability of marriage. And the excitement of the affair. He'll string her along until she finally cuts him off. Then he'll find someone new." Someone new, of course. Vanessa wasn't special. She was just convenient, young, available, willing to believe his lies. I wondered how many there had been before her. How many I'd never know about. How many times I'd smiled at him. Made him dinner. Slept beside him. While he carried on entire relationships I knew nothing about. The thought didn't hurt anymore. It just made me colder. I started checking his phone late at night. After he fell asleep, he never changed his password. Still used our anniversary. The irony. Most of his messages were deleted now. He was being more careful. But I found other things. Browser history. Incognito mode doesn't hide everything. Hotel searches. Florist websites. Jewelry stores. He was planning something. An apology maybe. A grand gesture to win Vanessa back? Or maybe he'd already moved on to someone else. It didn't matter. Whatever he was planning, it was too late. On a Thursday night, he came home early. I was in the kitchen when he walked in. He looked off. Tired, distracted. "You okay?" I asked. He nodded, set down his briefcase, loosened his tie. "Long day. Want to talk about it?" "No." He poured himself a drink. Whiskey. Straight. Just work stuff. But I knew better. This wasn't work. This was Vanessa. She was slipping away from him, and he was losing control. Good. That night. He was restless, tossing, turning at 2 a.m. I heard him get up. I kept my eyes closed. Listened. He went downstairs. I waited 5 minutes. Then I followed quietly. He was in his study. Door cracked open. I stayed in the hallway. Listened. "He was on the phone, please," he was saying. His voice was low, desperate. "Just talk to me. I can fix this." Silence. "I know what I said." "But it's complicated. You don't understand." More silence. "She's not." He stopped. Lowered his voice even further. "She doesn't know anything. I promise. You're safe." My chest tightened. I'm safe, I thought. Not her, me. He was protecting himself. Not Vanessa, not me. Just himself. I love you, he said quietly. Please don't do this. A pause. Then he hung up. I heard him sit down. Heard the clink of glass on wood. He was drinking again. I crept back upstairs, got into bed, stared at the ceiling, and felt absolutely nothing. The next morning, he acted like everything was fine, kissed me goodbye, told me he loved me, went to work, but I saw the cracks, the forced smile, the distraction, the way his hands shook slightly when he picked up his coffee. He was unraveling, and I was watching it happen. Margaret called that afternoon. Motion's been approved. Accounts are frozen as of this morning. He doesn't know yet. He will soon. His credit card will be declined the next time he tries to use it. I smiled. Good. We're ready to serve him. I'll have the papers delivered. Monday morning, 9 a.m., at his office. Double quotes Monday. 3 days. Okay, how are you holding up? Margaret asked. I thought about it. I'm fine. You sound fine. I am. Because I wasn't the one who should be worried. He was. That weekend, he tried to take me to dinner. Let's go out, he said Saturday morning. Somewhere nice. Just the two of us. I looked at him. Why? He seemed surprised by the question. Because, I love you. And we haven't spent quality time together in a while. Quality time, as if that would fix anything. Okay, I said. He smiled, relieved. Great, I'll make a reservation. We went to an Italian place downtown. Expensive, candlelit, romantic. He ordered wine. Held my hand across the table. Told me I looked beautiful. I smiled, said thank you, played along, but inside, I was counting down. 72 hours until the papers were served. 72 hours until his world collapsed, and he had no idea. He thought this dinner would fix us, thought a nice meal and some wine would make me forget, make me stay, make me into the woman he wanted. Quiet, grateful, unquestioning. I'm sorry I've been distant lately, he said, squeezing my hand. Work's been crazy, but I'm going to do better, I promise. It's okay, I said softly. No, it's not. He looked earnest. You deserve better. You're amazing. And I don't tell you that enough. I stared at him. This man, this stranger wearing my husband's face. You're right, I said quietly. I do deserve better. He smiled, thought I was agreeing with him. I was sitting on a park bench when she found me. Young, mid-20s, designer coat. The kind of woman who belonged at my husband's company party. The party I wasn't invited to. She stood in front of me, blocking the streetlight, her shadow falling across my lap like a verdict. Mrs. Chun. I looked up. She knew my name. I didn't know hers. I'm sorry, she said. Her voice was steady, but her hands weren't. She was holding an envelope. White. Expensive paper. The kind used for wedding invitations or resignation letters. She held it out to me. I stared at it. You don't know me, she continued. But I know you. And I think you deserve to know the truth. My throat went dry. What truth? She didn't answer. Just placed the envelope on the bench beside me, turned, and walked away. I watched her go. Watched her disappear into the glow of the city night. Her heels clicking against the pavement like a countdown. Then, I looked down at the envelope. My hands were shaking when I opened it. Inside was a single page, handwritten, neat, cursive. Your husband told you that you don't belong in his world? But the real reason he didn't want you at that party tonight is because I was going to be there. My name is Vanessa. I've been sleeping with him for 8 months. I thought you should know. I'm sorry. I didn't realize he was married until 2 weeks ago. He told me you were separated, that you were handling it quietly. But tonight, I saw the wedding photo on his desk, the one he always keeps face down. I turned it over, and I saw you. I'm leaving him, but you deserve to leave him too. With the truth. I read it twice, then a third time. The words didn't change. My world did. I sat there on that bench, under the cold sky, holding a letter from my husband's mistress, and I felt something inside me crack, not my heart, my patience. He'd left the house 3 hours earlier. Shower, shave, new suit. Cologne I didn't recognize. Big night, he'd said, adjusting his tie in the mirror. Lot of important people. Investors. Board members. I'd been standing in the doorway of our bedroom, watching him. Can I come? He'd paused, just for a second. Then smiled. That smile. The one that used to make me feel safe. Now it just looked practiced. It's not really your scene, babe, he said lightly. You'd be bored. Trust me, I wouldn't mind, Sarah. His tone shifted, gentle but firm. These people, they're a different social circle. You wouldn't fit in. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, you're not corporate. You're real. And that's great. But tonight needs to be ... polished. Polished as if I were tarnished. I'd nodded, smiled back. Okay. He'd kissed my forehead, grabbed his keys. Don't wait up. Then he was gone. I'd stood there in the silence of our home, the home I cleaned, the home I maintained, the home I made warm while he climbed ladders I wasn't allowed to touch and felt invisible. Whole. I'd left, walked to the park, sat on a bench, and waited for nothing until Vanessa found me. I folded the letter carefully, slipped it back into the envelope. My phone buzzed. A text from him. Party's going great? Miss you. I stared at it. Miss you? He didn't miss me. He was relieved I wasn't there. Relieved I wasn't standing next to him while Vanessa worked the room in her designer coat and her polished, corporate smile. Relieved he didn't have to explain me. I typed a response. Miss you too. Sent it. Then I stood up. The letter was still in my hand, and a plan was already forming in my mind. I didn't go home. I went to a bar 3 blocks away, quiet, dark, the kind of place where no one asks questions. I ordered a drink. I didn't touch. Then I pulled out my phone and started searching. Vanessa? I didn't have a last name, but I had enough. My husband worked at Arcadia Capital, mid-sized investment firm. 30 employees? Maybe. I opened the company website, clicked through to the Our Team page, and there she was. Vanessa Hartley. Junior analyst. 26 years old. Stanford MBA. Beautiful, smart. Polished, everything I wasn't. I studied her photo. Her confident smile. Her perfectly styled hair. She looked like someone who belonged. I looked like someone's wife. And my husband had chosen accordingly. I went home at midnight. The house was dark. He wasn't back yet. I went upstairs. Changed into pajamas. Got into bed. And waited. He came home at 2 a.m. I heard the door, the keys on the counter, his footsteps on the stairs. He slipped into bed beside me. Smelled like whiskey and her perfume. Hey, he whispered. You awake? I didn't answer. He kissed my shoulder, then rolled over and fell asleep. I lay there in the dark, listening to him breathe, and felt nothing. The next morning, I made him breakfast. Eggs, toast, coffee. He came downstairs in his robe, smiling. "You're the best," he said, kissing my cheek. I smiled back. "How was the party?" "Amazing. Really productive. Made some great connections." "Anyone interesting?" He hesitated. "Just a fraction of a second." "Yeah. Few new people. Young talent. Fresh. Perspectives? Like who?" He shrugged. "Just analysts. Junior staff? No one you'd know." I nodded. Poured his coffee. "Sounds great." He didn't notice the edge in my voice. Or maybe he did, and he just didn't care. He finished his breakfast. Kissed me again. Gotta run. Big day. Then he left, and I sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at my coffee, thinking about Vanessa's letter, thinking about the wedding photo he kept face down, thinking about 8 months of lies, and I realized something. I wasn't angry. I was cold, methodical, calculating. He thought I didn't belong in his world. He thought I was too simple, too real, too unpolished. He thought I'd never find out. But Vanessa had handed me the truth. And now I was going to hand it back to him, carefully, deliberately, quietly, in a way that would destroy everything he'd apt. Not with rage, with precision. I finished my coffee. Then I made a call to a lawyer. Asterisk. The lawyer's office smelled like leather and old money. I sat across from her. Margaret Reeves. Divorce attorney, 40 years of experience dismantling marriages, and watched her read Vanessa's letter. She didn't react, just read it twice, then set it down on her mahogany desk. "How long have you been married?" she asked. 12 years? Any prenup?" "No." She nodded slowly. "Children?" "No." "Good." She leaned back in her chair. "Makes it cleaner." Cleaner, as if our marriage was a mess that needed wiping up. Maybe it was. "What do you want?" Margaret asked. "Full disclosure, I need to know what outcome you're seeking before we proceed." I looked at her directly. "I want everything." She smiled. "It wasn't warm." "Then we'll need evidence." "The letter is a start, but it's hearsay. We need proof of the affair, photos, messages, financial records showing he spent marital assets on her, bank statements, credit card receipts, anything that establishes a pattern." "How do I get that?" Carefully. She slid a business card across the desk. "This is a private investigator I work with. Discreet, professional. He'll document everything. But here's what you need to understand. Mrs. Chun, the moment you start this process, there's no going back. Once he knows you know, he'll lawyer up. He'll hide assets. He'll spin the narrative. So you need to stay quiet. Play the role. Be the wife he thinks you are." I took the card. "How long will this take?" "A month. Maybe 6 weeks. Depends on how sloppy he's been." I thought about the perfume on his collar, the late nights, the party I wasn't invited to. He's been sloppy. Margaret's smile widened. "Good." I hired the investigator that afternoon. His name was David Frost, mid-50s, former cop. Carried himself like someone who'd seen too much and stopped being surprised. We met in a coffee shop. I gave him everything I had. My husband's schedule, his office address, Vanessa's name, and photos from the company website. "What exactly do you need?" he asked. "Proof they're together. Photos, messages if you can get them. Anything that shows it's ongoing." He nodded, taking notes. "This Vanessa, she's still at the company?" "I think so." You think, or you know? I paused. I don't know. He looked up. You? Should find out? How? Call the office. Ask for her. Say you're an old friend. I hadn't thought of that amateur move. I was playing in a game. I didn't know the rules to, but I was learning fast. I called Arcadia, Capital that evening. Waited until my husband was in the shower. The receptionist answered on the second ring. Arcadia. Capital, how may I direct your call? Hi, yes, I'm trying to reach Vanessa Hartley, please. A pause. I'm sorry, Miss Hartley is no longer with the company. My heart stopped. Oh, when did she leave? I'm not at liberty to discuss personnel matters. Would you like her forwarding information? No. That's fine. Thank you. I hung up. Vanessa was gone. She'd left, just like she said she would in the letter, but my husband hadn't mentioned it. Not once. That night at dinner, I tested him. How's work? I asked casually. He shrugged, cutting into his steak. Same old. Busy? Anyone leave recently? He looked up. But, turnover. People moving on. He frowned slightly. Why are you asking? I kept my tone light, just curious. You mentioned new people at the party. Wondered if anyone left to make room. He relaxed. Oh, yeah, actually. One of the analysts quit. Vanessa something. Didn't really know her well. Didn't know her well. 8 months. He didn't know her well. I smiled. That's too bad. Yeah, he went back to his steak. She was decent. But these kids, they jump around. No loyalty. No loyalty. The irony was suffocating. I took a sip of wine. You're right, I said softly. Loyalty matters. He didn't catch the venom in my voice. He never did. David called me 3 days later. I've got something? We met at the same coffee shop. He slid a manila folder across the table. Inside were photos. My husband and Vanessa, outside a hotel. Different dates. Different locations. One showed them entering together.